verse 43, it says, Jesus sent him away at once with a strong warning. Now, this is where it gets very interesting. He said to this guy that he just healed, see that you don't tell this to anyone, but go and show yourself to the priests and offer the sacrifices that Moses commanded for your cleansing as a testimony for them. Now, we could dig into this and find out a little bit from the Old Testament that leprosy was an unclean disease. And so they had to go to the priest, and the priest would decide whether they were clean enough to come back and be with the people. And Jesus is basically saying, just follow the rules here. But he gives them a very interesting warning. Don't tell anybody about this. Just go do the things that you're supposed to do. And this is something that happened that is amazing. This man directly, immediately disobeyed Jesus. And here's what the guy did. It said in verse 45, instead, he went out and began to talk freely, spreading the news about this. He just said, don't tell anybody about this. Just go to the priest. And immediately he did the exact opposite. He began telling people about the deal. Spread the news. As a result, Jesus could no longer enter a town openly, but stayed outside in lonely places. Here is what it is. This guy was real to relationship. He had an experience with the real Christ, the real Son of God, that was right in front of him. He had a real disease that he had dealt with for who knows how long. And this real Christ, who had real power, came to him and touched him and cured this thing for real. And I can imagine looking at his hands that were probably messed up before and disfigured because of the disease, looking at him saying, they look right now. It's real. I'm not imagining this. It really happened. And he's looking at this man who did this to him. And he's amazed at this. He's had a real experience with Christ. He cannot help but go to the people that are around him. To go to his friends and say, look what happened. Remember the way that I looked before? I don't look that way anymore. This is real. It's not fake. He couldn't help but shut up. Real, a relationship with Christ, the realness of his power went to the realness of the friends that he had around him. It was the most natural thing in the world. And I think Jesus himself knew that that would happen, and he was totally okay with it. Now let me just illustrate this for you. Real to relationship in a little bit different way. Okay? A couple weeks ago, I got this little gadget right here. It's called an iPhone. And you heard of these things? They're pretty cool. They've been out about 9 months. And as soon as I found out about this, I thought, I'm going to start saving up my money and I'm going to get one of those things. Well, I finally got up enough money to get one. And I looked at these things on the internet for months and saw how they worked. And was amazed by them. I knew exactly how to get to the email, get to the text messaging. I could check the weather. Let's see what it says. Lee Summit, 36 degrees. Oh gosh, surely it's not that cold. Rain, yeah, that definitely looks like. Oh, the snow mix. I can call on the phone. I've got all your names right there. I just flip through it. It's just cool. It's amazing. And I knew how to work this thing ever before I got one in my hands. But finally, when I got the money for one, I got the thing in my hand. And I knew how to work the deal. And I'm sitting here, and it became real to me. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this is even cooler than it looked on the internet. And I had an experience with this thing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, my expectations were high, but this has exceeded my expectations. I mean, I can put our website right there, and I can go right on the internet, networkschurch.net. And there it is. And I can sit here and I can go to the camera and I can take your picture. There's only one button on the thing and it can do millions of things. I mean, the only thing it can't do is brush your teeth. It's amazing. And look at that. I can sit here like that and look at you. And I can take all your picture right now. Look at that. I can take your picture. And there you go. Oh, that was kind of cool. Let's take this side. Damn, I can take your picture. And oh my gosh, it's just amazing. With one button, you just touch the screen. It's like magic. I had an experience, and it was real. And let me tell you what happened. The experience was so real that I would say in the last 2 weeks, all the people that I had lunch with, or met with, or talked to on the phone, they have learned about this thing. and how many of you would just attest to the fact that that is true? That I pulled this thing out at least one time whenever I met with you or had lunch, and it was, here's how it would go. Hey Jason, what's going on? What's going on in your life? Hey, want to see something cool? And then I pull it out and start And they're going, this guy is nuts, you know, probably. It was real to relationship. I could not help but talk about the realness of the experience. Hey, check this out. Look at it. Now, that's a gadget that in a couple years will be totally, probably out of style. And there'll be something cooler. But here's the deal right here. Think about it. An experience that is real with the risen Christ. It changes you in such a way that it flows to the relationships that you have. That is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about being a minister of the gospel. Let what Christ has done in you naturally flow out in realness to the people who are around you. You watch what God does. You stinking watch what He does. It's pretty cool. And I have been amazed at some of the things that I have prayed for. And I said, God, what about this person? What about that person? What about this? And it's amazing how He brings the opportunity to let His goodness of what He's doing to you flow out in relationship to somebody else. Guys, that's the reason why we do the Life Group thing. That's the reason why we do the friendship thing. So that you guys can have some people around you to where you can talk about Him, you can share about what God is doing in you, and it can be real. And by what somebody else says, you can say, oh, God be glorified. We're trying to connect with Him. We're trying to connect with each other. When we say, go into all the world and preach the good news to all creation, it's about experiencing Him, having this fuel, walking in faith, and letting that flow into the friendships that you already have. There are so many of you here that you think, man, I'm just not a minister. I don't know enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not bright enough. But let me tell you what, you are wrong in that thinking. And I'm just asking God to just tweak your thinking and say, you know what, I can go. I can do. I don't have to have the best words. And sometimes that's even better if you don't. Because they can say, hey, this person's just like me. They're real. No plastic face. No fakeness. You watch what God does. It's amazing. Well, this is what I want to do. Could you guys stand, please? And what we're going to do is I want to close this service today. Now, here in just a couple minutes when we're done.